Good morning นะครับ everyone sorry นะครับ so on the last class นะครับ on Monday we talk about the amortization table that I just like show you how do we gonna calculate for the amortization table. Let me just like open it up for you again นะครับ for showing you the short recap for what we did on the last class นะครับ okay. Okay, just give me a minute นะ okay นะครับ let's have a look on the last class we talk about the amortization tableนะครับ that is the integration of the knowledge that we studied from financial functions นะครับ so we had a warm up just like practicing parts whenever we would like to have a dream car to calculate for periodic payments it means that we would like to calculate for PMT then we can use the PMT to calculate this kind of information and then you get the periodic payment that is negative 1,285.83 by the way นะครับ on Monday นะครับ one of our classmates told me that okay I did something wrong นะครับ now let me just like show you once again for this information นะครับ so whenever we talk about the periodic payment in this case the dream car นะครับ the dream car in here is our PV นะครับ not FV I just like told you wrongly because the reason is because whenever we would like to get a dream car we borrow the money from the bank นะครับ in order to buy that car so $15,000 is our loan นะครับ $15,000 is our loan that we have to that we borrow from the bank so that's why นะครับ the PV is B2 while the FV นะครับ is 0 because when in the future when we finish paying off all the debts นะครับ for this car the car will belong to you นะครับ so that's why นะครับ you have to switch the PV and FV like this นะครับ PV must be dream car 15,000 FV is 0 so that we can get negative 1,285.83 as our payments นะครับ for each month the next one that we did was NPER นะครับ for NPER in here นะครับ because we would like to find out number of period นะครับ number of period in here so don't forget that from the same scenarios when we would like to get a dream car นะครับ the dream car is our PV นะครับ not FV ครับ so that means PV is C2 or 15,000 while FV นะครับ or future value is 0 that means we clear off the debts so when we do this นะครับ the number of months that you have to pay is 47.56 or around 48 months the next one นะครับ the next one we talk about the price of the car that we may be able to purchase นะครับ in the sale D2 in this one นะครับ the dream car as I told you in the previous example for PMT and NPER here it is PV นะครับ is the price of the car that you can purchase in case that you have you can afford $500 per month นะครับ and you want to pay for 48 months to clear off the debts and the bank said that they charge you 5.25% how much car you can purchase in this one we use the PV function นะครับ in order to calculate so the rate is D3 divided by 12 นะครับ because it's a monthly rate and per number of period is D4 or 48 PMT you can pay negative 500 per month นะครับ FV is 0 because we want to clear off the debts after 48 months and type is 0 นะครับ don't forget that if they don't state the type of payment นะครับ that whenever you have to pay the moneyนะครับ in this case normally we just like think about like we pay at the end of the month. That is the normal practiceนะครับthat we do. So you can see that in here the intermediate result shows us as $21,605.07 นะครับ this is the amount or the price of the dream car that you can purchase according to this condition that we have got. The last one, we have the information that if we have a dream car cost $50,000 and you can afford $1,000 นะครับ per month for 60 months, how many percent that the banks would charge youนะครับ in this case. So we have to use the rate function to helpนะครับfinding the informationนะครับ. Number of period is 60 months or in E4. Payment or PMT per month is negative 1,000 in E5 นะครับ. PV or present valueนะครับ. That is the price of the car, $50,000 in positiveนะครับ because you have to borrow the money from the bankนะครับ. FV or future value is 0 and type is 0 tooนะครับ Don't forgetนะครับfor the functions like this example of the function rateนะครับ, you see the scroll bar in here. You have to scroll down to see whether they have like other arguments or notนะครับ. In this one it has guess argument that we normally we can just like omit this valueนะครับ, then I'll omit this one. So you can see that the the rateนะครับ is 0.62%. By the wayนะครับ, you have to be careful if you are asked to find annual interest rateนะครับ the annual interest rate must be this rateนะครับ. Right now it is monthly rate, right? So you have to make this one to be annual rate or yearly rate by multiply this value by 12 firstนะครับ, before you answer. Otherwise you get just monthly rate only, while this one it's asked for annual interest rateนะครับ. Then you have to just like multiply by 12 first. When you get this one alreadyนะครับ, we talk about the amortization table that normally when we have to propose this amortization table to the customerนะครับ, you may just like give them from column A to column E onlyนะครับ. The column F and G in this caseนะครับis just like we use them for the cross-checkingนะครับ. We use them for cross-checking whether our calculation is correct or notนะครับ. So in this one we use the information from the first caseนะครับ, in hereนะครับ, in the yellow cells in hereนะครับ. If we have dream car $15,000, annual interest 5.25%, we want to pay for 12 months, and in hereนะครับ, this is information that we have got. Periodic payment might be just like information that we use to check the correctness of our amortization table for the monthly paymentนะครับ. Okay, so for the first thing that we have got, if you remember, we have just like this cell onlyนะครับ. Okay. We have just 15,000 as the balanceนะครับ, in the cell E10, while the rest of them are just like the blank cells. Also we have column A here as a guide for us that okay, which period that we are going to calculateนะครับ, and we use them as the as a period value of the period argument too. In the first column we calculated for the interest paymentนะครับ. The interest payment here we use the ICMB function to calculateนะครับ. In this one you can see that we calculate the ICMB by using the information from the yellow cellsนะครับ, for putting them as the rate and per PV, FV and type, while the perนะครับ, per argument we use the cell in column Aนะครับ, and then we calculate like this. You can see that because this is the loan case, that's why the very first month that you pay is the interestนะครับ. And when the time goes by, when you pay more and more, the interest will be decreasingนะครับ, in each month. So nextนะครับ, The next column we talk about was principal payment. We use the function PPMT to calculate doing the similar way around, and then you get the PPMT or the principal payment in each month like this. You can see that the more month you pay the more proportion of principal payment you get So from the first month you pay $1,220.21 as a principal payment. But when you go to the month 12 the amount of money that you pay goes to the proportion of the principal payment at $1,280.23. That is increasing By the way, in column D in column D you may use the PMT function to calculate, or you may add interest payment and principal payment together If you add these two columns together B and C, you get 1,285.83 For every single rows you get the same thing. So in this one when we get these three columns already, the last column that we that is important to is that we calculate the balance. How to calculate the balance actually the balance in each month is the amount of money that you borrow from the bank subtracted by principal in each month that you pay back to the bank. That will be the balance So what does it mean? It means that in here you add the balance with principal payment. For example, in month 1, if you add 15,000 with negative 1,221 the debt that you have left in month 1 is 13,779.79. You can see that actually the amount of money that you pay 1,285.83 is not used to deduct the balance. Don't forget that a part of it is the interest that is not related to the principal at all. So that's why if you have a look in this one in month 1, the balance is reduced for $1,220.21 only and then we do the same thing on second month. You subtract the money that you pay as a principal on month 2 to the balance of month 1. So when you add these two values together, 30,779.79 subtracted by 1,225.54, then the balance that you have left for month 2 is 12,554.25. We do like this until month 12. You can see that month 12 is our last month to pay already. That means the balance of month 11 must be equals to the principal payment of month 12 1,280.23. When you subtract together, it makes the balance to become $0 This is the balance that we calculate by using the subtraction Okay, so in this one in column F we talk about balance as well, but the balance in here we use FV function to calculate not manual subtraction or manual addition of the value. So for the balance using FV in here, the things that you have to use okay, let me just open up the pop-up screen. Okay, so for column F and column G, we calculate them in the eyes of the bank in the eyes of the bank. That means what do I mean by in the eye of the bank? In the eye of the bank means that for the money that customer pay the payment is positive because the bank received the money, while the while the present value you can see that for the customer present value is positive because they get the money from the bank, while the present value of the bank it is negative because you pay the money to the customer for the first time. So that's why there is just like the reversing of the positivity of the value so that means for the PMT นะครับ B5 actually it is negative 1,285.83 นะครับ for customer but for the bank it is positive 1,285.83 instead. For PV customer have like positive 15,000 while the bank has negative 15,000 นะครับ you calculate like this. When you calculate นะครับ the argument that you have to consider is N per นะครับ N per here is not 12 months anymore because the things I want to tell you is that the customer doesn't owe us 15,000 all the time นะครับ the balance is changed when the time goes by so N per is number of months นะครับ that we are calculating. For example, in this cell we are calculating the N per for month 1 that customer owe us for $15,000 นะครับ so that's why when you calculate this นะครับ the balance here is 13,779.79 นะครับ for the month 2 you do similar way but in this one to calculate the month 2 FV นะครับ the PMT is still negative V5 anyway นะครับ present value นะครับ is V2 anyway. By the way นะครับ the N per is changed from month 1 to month 2 is the second month นะครับ so that's why it is 12,554.24 นะครับ do like this until you can see the last one. For month 12 when we would like to calculate the future value นะครับ this is month 12 N per is 12 too นะครับ and PMT is still 1,285.83 นะครับ present value is still 15,000 นะครับ. when you calculate this the formula result shows us that the balance on this month is $0. When you compare the balance when you use FV and the balance that you just like subtract the balance with the principal payment นะครับ month by month then you get the same value นะครับ lastly we talk about the interest double check in this one we use the calculation นะครับ the manual calculation to calculate the interest because I mean like on the column B we use IPMT to calculate right actually inside the function IPMT they use the same thing as we do this นะครับ so how does it work in this one you can see that it come from the balance นะครับ multiply by the interest นะครับ that we have to pay so you can see that when we just like have to calculate the interest that we have to pay why นะครับ why do we have to divide it by 12 because actually when we calculate the interest here is calculated as the monthly basis only because in each cell it is the interest for each month right so on month 1 you haven't paid anything back to us yet so the interest that you have to pay to the bank is the original balance that you borrow from the bank that is 15,000 multiplied by the interest per month then in this one you get 65.63 but in order to make the interest amount นะครับ to be the same as in column B we have to enter negative value otherwise if you calculate like this นะครับ without entering negative symbol it will be positive 55.53 and somebody might be confused that hey how come the interest payment and interest double check are opposite way around นะครับ so that's why I just like put the negative symbol over there as well so on month 2 นะครับ we do the similar way as the month 1 interest we use the balance นะครับ that the customer still owe the bank นะครับ with the interest rate per month นะครับ and put the negative symbol on so you get 60.29 นะครับ and until the last month we use the balance of the month 11 multiplied by the interest rate นะครับ per 1 month only then you get $5.60 and when you compare นะครับ column G and column B they will be the same if you calculate everything correctly นะครับ this is amortization table that we learned from the last class. When we study for the amortization table already นะครับ what is the next topic that we have to study นะครับ okay just one below นะครับ the next one นะครับ the next topic that we have to learn okay just one below นะครับ the next topic that we have to learn นะครับ is what we call two input array table นะครับ two input array table what is it นะครับ before we do this one นะครับ you just save and close your amortization table here นะครับ we just like switch back to our what to say my first book once again นะครับ just one below นะครับ okay so everyone ครับ when you finish saving the amortization table already นะครับ I would like you to open up the my first book นะครับ once again and then we just like create a new sheet นะครับ in your my first book นะครับ so that we can just like learn how the two input table works นะครับ so when you finish นะครับ inserting the new sheet into your my first book already นะครับ I want you to name นะครับ I want you to name this sheet as two input array นะครับ two input array so นะครับ let me explain to you whenever we just like study in this class นะครับ or you open up any handbook for Microsoft Excel any website that has the training materials for Excel นะครับ you might see like these terms นะครับ they are the same thing and they can be changed they can be used interchangeably sometimes you may see two input array นะครับ sometimes you may see two variable table sometimes you see the topic that is called two variable data table นะครับ they are the same นะครับ they are the same thing what are they ครับ two input array is the concept นะครับ of Microsoft Excel that is designed to help the users in order to fill up the data that is in form of the table easily instead of manually calculating and finding the references นะครับ setting up or formulating the references by themselves นะครับ in each cell that takes a lot of time for example นะครับ if we say that we are running the what to say we are running the photocopy business นะครับ and then we say that actually our businesses นะครับ our business the cost of our business depends on two major things the first one นะครับ price of the paper the other factor is the price of the toner or the ink นะครับ so when the price of the paper is in this amount per piece the toner is in amount per piece นะครับ compare with when the price of the paper is changed and the price of the toner is changed how will it affect our cost of the production of the photocopy so you may just like plot them in the table or sometimes when we apply the knowledge from the financial functions นะครับ we may say that there are two factors for the customer to make a decision นะครับ we may say that, okay, first, it's about the number of periods that the customer would like to pay. Customer can choose, you can see that in the dream car in the amortization table. We say that, okay, I show you just an example of like 12 months only that customer would like to pay. But in the reality, customers say that, okay, they may choose 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years to pay for that, to pay for their dream car. Okay, that might be one factor, that might be one factor or one variable that they make a decision. Second variable that they use to make a decision is that, okay, the bank might say that if you would like to pay for 1 year, the interest is 3%. If you want to pay for 2 years, it's 3.5%. For a year, the interest rate per year might be 5%, something like that. So these can be just like varied in the situation that you make a decision. So somebody may use the two input array in order to calculate for different period of time and different interest rate to justify the payment that they have to pay, and then they make a decision in which percentage for how long that they would like to pay. Somebody may just like use the two input array to just show the information like that. I'll show you later on. Now, let me just like clarify the meaning of the word two input array, two variable table, two variable data table. Actually, the word array, array and table is the same thing. There are set of values, we call it as array. So when we have two input or two variable, that means you have two sets of values that can be the parameter to make some decisions. So when you have two input or two variable, normally you put them in the rows and columns differently. So that's why they form in terms of the table for us. Okay, right. Now let's see. I'll show you the example for the how do we gonna use the two variable data table or two input array in the reality. Suppose we say that, okay, we are talking about the sales projection of ABC company in 2023. The things that we need to have is that we need to know about the sales amounts of 2022 first. And we have growth of 2023. And we need to know expense of 2022 in here. Assume that the sales amount of 2022 is $875,000. Growth is 6%. Expense is 40%. Okay, assume that we have the fact, the facts or the information like this first. How do we gonna calculate everything manually? You have to know how to calculate this first before we can formulate the two input array. Okay, now let's see. If we say that we would like to calculate the project sales of 2023, in this case, we may say that, okay, it come from, let me just like type in wording first. it comes from sales amounts plus sales amounts times growth subtracted by sales amounts times expense. Okay, let me just type it clearly. Okay, assume that we have the formula like this. Okay. We know that in order to calculate project sales of 2023, it comes from sales amount of year one. Hang on. Let me modify this one a bit. I add the word year one to you. Okay. So the calculation is like this. We said that sales amount of year one. Year one here means 2022 or this year. Okay, D6 plus sales amount D6 times growth of year two subtracted by sales amount of year one multiplied by expense of year two. That might happen. So this will become the project sales of the next year. This is my formula. Okay. Just in case that somebody use the same cell as my one. This is the formula. Okay. So in this one, when we get the project sales of 2023 already, assume that, okay, this is what I want. When we have growth 6%, expense of current year is 40%, it makes the project sales of the next year to become $577,500. But in the reality, the growth and expense can be varied. For example, if we said that the growth can be varied from 1% to 6%, while the expense can be varied from 10% to 40%. How do we gonna prepare a table in order to show the variation of the project sales when the growth and expense are different? Okay, so in this case, the way that we normally do is that, okay, assume that I put the growth in column 1%, 1.5%, 2%, until 6%. Okay, I have 1 to 6%. No. I cannot use this. 2.5%. This won't be long. I need to have the, yeah, okay, this one. This is what I want. This is a percentage that we need to have. I have until 6%. All right. Okay, these are the percentage that we may have in our column. Next, we talk about the expense. Assume that I put the headers of the expense percentage in the row. I have 10%, 15%, and so on until 40%. so what do we want to do นะครับ if you don't know anything about two table array at all the things that you may do is that okay you calculate everything manually for example in this one you know that okay นะครับ for okay if we say that okay let me just tell you that okay here it is growthนะครับ and this is expense you may say that okay then I calculate like this the growth sorry the project sale of 2023 when growth is 1% and expense is 10% is that you just multiply the value like this นะครับ the sales amount is D6 นะครับ plus D6 multiplied by growth subtracted by D6 multiplied by 10%. This one. And then you just like do the next cell until you finish the whole table. What happened to this one? You waste a lot of time for sure. Somebody said, then I will use the absolute reference and relative reference that we studied before to help. Okay, sorry. This one you said, oh, okay, D6 is stable. It always be D6. Okay. So in the first row, นะครับ in the first row นะครับ what to say B13 is fixed you lock cell B13 while the C12 can be D12 E12 and so on and then you copy like this okay and do the same thing like this until you finish the last cell you can see that it wastes a lot of time and you have to think a lot which cell has to be relative reference which cell has to be absolute reference นะครับ so we have the tools in Microsoft Excel นะครับ the function in Microsoft Excel that help us to calculate the value in these cells นะครับ automatically without just like formulating the cells like this by yourself we call that one as the table array นะครับ in this class we study for two table array that mean or two input array or two variable array that means you have two variables that are related one in column the other one is in row นะครับ okay to help calculating this okay so how do we gonna do that okay let me just keep this value for us first นะครับ so that you see whether I use this table to calculate correctly or not I paste it as a value okay นะครับ I just like put them aside นะครับ nothing just like want to cross check later now let's talk about the two input array นะครับ how do we gonna do that if you would like to use two input array firstly นะครับ firstly you have to prepare the formula to calculate the value in each cell first the formula here นะครับ must be put somewhere outside the table for example I said that นะครับ my formula is in the green cell in here นะครับ it is D6 plus D6 times D7 minus D6 times D8 นะครับ something like that you prepare the cells นะครับ in order to be each value นะครับ of your calculation in each cell and use it as a reference like this one นะครับ okay especially for anything that is in column or row that are growth and expense ครับ D7 and D8 must be separated into different cells นะครับ somebody may say that okay the sales amount of 2022 8,700 875,000 does not change at all instead of having D6 you can type 875,000 in the cell of the calculation directly นะครับ depends on you but I'll just like put like this so that when I come back to see it later or when I change the sales amount of the year I don't need to go to my formula to change but I just change in the cell D6 straight away นะครับ something like that when I have this one already นะครับ the next thing นะครับ next step you see the white cell here okay let me just change the color I change the color to be blue cell ครับ the blue cell here ครับ is on the bottom left corner of the table right the blue cell นะครับ bottom left corner you put equals and then you follow by the cell that you use as a formula นะครับ in this case it was in the cell D10 I put equals to D10 นะครับ in this top left corner of the table okay you get the value 577,500 นะครับ in here okay just leave it like that first everybody got it ครับ you get the same value as the formula that you enter in the cell D10 นะครับ right now the next step นะครับ when you get this already highlight the whole table นะครับ you highlight the whole table when you highlight the whole table already go to data menu นะครับ go to data menu choose what if analysis go to data menu choose what if analysis what if analysis is the menu that we use a lot นะครับ you have to study for these three menus submenus in what if analysis นะครับ this is the data analysis menu นะครับ we have scenario manager goal seek and data table now we are studying at with the data table first นะครับ so why do we call this one as what if analysis because it tells us that in the data table it tells us that what if the growth is 1% and expense is 10% นะครับ so it fill up the data for us okay we choose everybody ครับ choose data table นะครับ choose data table for the Mac users นะครับ they are in the same menu นะครับ you go to data menu and then you should see นะครับ you should see the menu what if analysis as well you choose data table นะครับ then you should see the same pop-up window นะครับ data table consists of two things that you have to enter row input cell and column input cell what does it mean by row input cell and column input cell row input cell means any cell นะครับ that are entering in the same row this is row input cell while column input cell means the headers that are in the same column นะครับ in here okay so the things that you do นะครับ is that you have to enter the cell that is in the formula นะครับ that is used to be the row input cell okay let me say again row input cell is the cell that we use นะครับ as the cell นะครับ in the same that happen in as the header in the same row for example in the same row นะครับ that we put here is the expense right you have to find in your formula which cell you store the expense you can see that the cell that you store expense is the cell D8 what are we going to do in the row input cell นะครับ you click cell D8 นะครับ you use clicking นะครับ don't type because it will automatically add the dollar sign to lock that cell for you นะครับ you click on the cell D8 now we go to see column input cell นะครับ the cells that we use and varied according to the same column header that is growth. Growth is kept here นะครับ growth is the cell D7 นะครับ growth is in the cell D7 นะครับ expense is in the cell D8 so in column input cell นะครับ click on column input cell first click on growth ครับ D7 okay I just do this step first นะครับ so do anybody has the problem with just like choosing row input cell and column input cell ครับ in this case we use row input cell that is the cell that we store growth of 2022 and column input cell is the cell where we keep the value of expense นะครับ of 2022 in the formula นะครับ okay when you finish click OK นะครับ everyone click OK you should get the data fill up in the table like this do you get the same value as mine to check นะครับ whether your data is correct this is correctly filled up or not firstly นะครับ you scan through นะครับ the whole table the whole table must not have the same value นะครับ if it shows the same value in every cells นะครับ in the table that means you are doing something wrong you have to clear out this table นะครับ or นะครับ that is the first step นะครับ you check every cell must not have the same values นะครับ repeatedly second one check in the green cell ครับ right now green cell is telling us that growth 6% expense 40% cost the project sales to be 577,500 then you locate that cell ครับ growth 6% okay growth 6% is here okay expense 40% is here if you get the same value this table should be okay if you are not sure you may randomly pick a value in the table ครับ assume that I pick this cell นะครับ you can see that in here growth is 3.5 expense is 25 right what should we do ครับ you just try changing the value in this original cell first นะครับ 3.5% นะครับ growth ครับ okay and for the expense is 25% นะครับ you get 686 875 check with the green cell once again you get the same value right so if you get the same value this one means this table generates correct calculation for the project sale of 2023 นะครับ so check two things the first one the values in the cells นะครับ in this table must not be repeated นะครับ many times second one when you random a value in the cell นะครับ or when you just like see the original calculation here and then you just locate that cell นะครับ the value in the green cell must be the same as in the table okay right now นะครับ let's see you can see that when I just like compare this one นะครับ that I did in my manual calculation it shows the same value okay that means my table is correct นะครับ no problem in here right okay นะครับ then I'll show you if you did something wrong what will happen นะครับ firstly นะครับ firstly we have to clear the table first all right so somebody may say that okay if you would like to clear some value for example if you say that oh the cell in here I don't want to have it you just click on that cell and then press delete button นะครับ or you may just right click and choose clear content you can see that นะครับ in the data table you cannot delete like this นะครับ you cannot type any value in when you type and you press enter it shows the error นะครับ you cannot change anything inside the table นะครับ for some specific cell if you don't want this table you have to clear the whole table นะครับ not just one cell only if you want to clear the data in the white cells in this one what should we do first you highlight every white cell in this table นะครับ don't clear the headers นะครับ we clear just the generated data only ครับ highlight all the white cells in the table นะครับ second one press delete button on your keyboard or right click and choose clear contents นะครับ now you can clear it out already นะครับ so this table cannot be cleared one cell at a time if you have to clear out you have to clear the whole table นะครับ highlight the whole table in the white cells and then click clear contents นะครับ so now the table is clear already now I will show you that if you do something wrong what will happen นะครับ there are a couple of mistakes that we may do it นะครับ the first one if you pick wrong column header and row header what will happen นะครับ the data will be switched okay so in this one นะครับ if I go to highlight the whole cell I don't forget that the blue cell must be the formula here นะครับ it is referred to equals to D10 นะครับ in here okay I highlight the whole table go to data what if analysis data table right so now I choose row input cell if I put growth as my row input cell I put expense as my column input cell you can see that now it's switched from the correct one now let's see what happened นะครับ it generates the data but you never know whether the data is correct or not you have to check นะครับ now let's see when growth is 3.5% and expense is 25% okay it's this cell ครับ growth 3.5 expense is 25 you can see that the correct calculation is 686,875 while the generated table show us 1.06 million that is wrong for sure ครับ if the data in the cell นะครับ in the formula and the data that is generated by the table array is different นะครับ that is wrong already delete the whole table ครับ and then the assumption นะครับ that is a suspect why the table is generated wrongly that is because you may just like put the column input cell or row input cell in the chain sorry use just like switch those cells that's why it caused it wrongly นะครับ so when this one is wrong you have to delete it out highlight the white cell and then right click choose clear contents and then generate it once again นะครับ okay that is the first mistake that may happen นะครับ because you choose row input cell and column input cell wrongly นะครับ you have to put them correctly oh sorry I just put the wrong one yeah okay now it's generated already and it's correct นะครับ the next error might be because top left cell นะครับ the top left cell is not a reference to the formula นะครับ it's not a reference to a formula right now it's refer to these cell D10 right but somebody did like this ครับ you can see that top left cell in the table and the calculated cell in cell D9 sorry D10 they look the same right somebody may have the same thing 686,875 now let's see นะครับ if I highlight the table and choose data menu what if analysis and then data table I choose row input cell correctly นะครับ that is expense I choose column input cell correctly that is growth see what happened นะครับ when I generate this table you can see that every single cell shows 686,875. That is impossible because when growth and expense are different, it will never generate the same value like this. When this one happens, you have to know that it's because of your referencing to the formula might be wrong. And you can see that because this one, it does not referนะครับ to the project sales correctly นะครับ somebody just typed the value 686,875 directly here. That's why it generates the value wrongly. So to fix the problem, you may delete the top left corner cell นะครับ and make the referencing correctly so that it will generate the correct value for you นะครับ in here. Right. Okay, so in this one นะครับ for the what to say two table or two input array table นะครับ do you have any questions ครับ you have to practice นะครับ otherwise you may just like choose the row input cell or the or column input cell wrongly นะครับ all right, okay, so if you don't have any questions นะครับ now I would like to talk about the next function that is useful for us นะครับ the next function that you need to know นะครับ okay, let me just see this one a bit is the function that we call if and nested if นะครับ if and nested if what is if and what is nested if that you have to know นะครับ so for if and nested if is the function that we use to make a decision in the cell in Microsoft Excel นะครับ so everyone just create a new worksheet นะครับ in your same workbook call this worksheet as นะครับ if nested if So let me explain to you นะครับ in Microsoft Excel we use the function that we call if in order to help making some decision นะครับ in order to help making some decision so in this set นะครับ of the functions นะครับ the if and nested if functions are functions that we talk about the logic in Microsoft Excel นะครับ whenever you would like to talk about logic, normally the logic returns us like two possible ways, yes or no, true or false นะครับ so in order to just like justify the logic นะครับ or the logical value of each cell we use นะครับ basically we use if function นะครับ or if the situation นะครับ or if the decision is more complex we will use the if function นะครับ in the advanced one we call it as nested if that means we use many ifs inside the same formula นะครับ I'll talk about it next on apart from that one we also have to learn about the function and or and not together นะครับ these are just like these functions and or and not are functions that we use to consider the logic by combining these three functions นะครับ in the if function or nested if function นะครับ so okay for the if function there are a couple of ways นะครับ that we use in order to help if function to work properly นะครับ the basic tools that somebody may have studied before when you were in high school or in other subjects it is called as flowchart นะครับ that is useful for us as well นะครับ in this one นะครับ let me just like introduce you for the basic flowchart to you as well นะครับ just give me a minute let me just like share my another screen to you นะครับ Okay. So when we talk about the flow chart นะครับ we use these symbols นะครับ as a basic symbol to just like draw as a flow chart นะครับ it is useful for you when you have to just like make some decision. Doesn't matter whether that decision making is easy or complicated นะครับ so the symbols that we have got are like this ครับ first we have start stop. Hang on, let me just like put it in the presentation mode first. In here นะครับ the first one is start stop นะครับ start stop. It is just like the rounded corner rectangle นะครับ in here we call it that, and then you type start or stop inside. Next นะครับ input. You may have just like the parallelogram in here นะครับ and then you have the word input something inside, input score like in B cell B46 something like that. The next one นะครับ is the diamond shape. Diamond shape is used for making decision นะครับ is used to making decision. So in order to make a decision here นะครับ the way that we do is that we draw the diamond นะครับ and then we write down นะครับ the word if นะครับ followed by the condition that you have that I'll just like teach you next on. For example, if B46 is less than or equals to 80, or somebody may write down that if score is less than or equals to 80, นะครับ it's the same. Then the diamond shape you branch out นะครับ with two branches. One branch is for true, the other branch is for false นะครับ. The next one we have the rectangle shape นะครับ like this. In this one we call it as process or calculate. If you want to process anything or calculate anything, you just like write down the formula inside this rectangle. For example, we have นะครับ we have B45 equals to 10% times B46 B40 yeah something like that นะครับ you just enter the formula inside. The next one นะครับ it's the pencil shape here. We call this symbol as display. If you say that okay you want to display this student get A grade something like that, you just type the text in the quote นะครับ in the display box นะครับ. In this example is grade is pass something like this. Next circle นะครับ circle here we call it as connector นะครับ. The connector here is what we call on-page connector. When you want to link the flows together, you can use the on-page connector if they are in the same page. But if one page is not enough นะครับ you may use the pentagon symbol to represent the off-page connector to link นะครับ this flow to another page. The next one, and then you put some symbol inside, for example A B C D or 1 2 3 4 something like that. And the last one, flow of data. The reason why we call it as flow chart because it's the chart that consists of these symbols and then they link together with the line with the arrow. The line with the arrow we call flow of data. We use it to link each symbol นะครับ together. Okay, so in here นะครับ in here let me just like talk about the basic if function that you should know first นะครับ. I'll talk about the if function นะครับ and the formula, and after that I'll show you the formulation of if function together with the flow chart นะครับ that we should have in order to help calculating this kind of thing easily นะครับ. Okay. The first one นะครับ I'll talk about the basic if first นะครับ the basic if first so the basic if means just like we have just one if function in your formula นะครับ we call it as basic if in this example นะครับ in this example assume that we would like to calculate the grade for the students นะครับ we say that if the student's score is from 60 and above we give S grade otherwise give you นะครับ give you okay so นะครับ so we talk about the if function that we have to know first นะครับ so let's talk about if function นะครับ so everyone you can click on the fx button and type if click go ครับ if function is the function that checks whether a condition is met and return one value if true and another value if false so that means you use if function นะครับ to check the condition that we have นะครับ the if function can return two possible ways true or false นะครับ if it's true you can just like put in the if function to show something for you you can show the value you can have calculation นะครับ or you can show some text these are just like the output of the if that can help you to do นะครับ but if the checking of the condition returns a false to you what would you like the if function to do for you you can enter it in the value if false the value if false can be some value some number some text some actions some calculation นะครับ you can put them นะครับ anything you want in here let's see the arguments sorry let's see the syntax of if function ครับ if นะครับ open parenthesis followed by logical test logical test is the condition that you want to test นะครับ for checking whether it's true or false นะครับ comma value if true นะครับ specify what value what text what calculation that you want to do if the condition after testing is true นะครับ comma value if false similar way as value if true ครับ you can enter text number calculation นะครับ into this value if false too นะครับ in this example you can see that it said if the student score is from 60 and above นะครับ in this one we have to check นะครับ the score of the student นะครับ we have to check the score of the student so the score of the student checking นะครับ the range of checking is from 60 and above so in this one you have to formulate this one into the logical test so you have to check score from 60 and above means greater than or equal to 60 นะครับ like that that is value that is logical test value if true นะครับ we give S grade you may put double quote S or you may put double quote grade is S something like that comma value if false นะครับ you enter grade is false sorry grade is U or you can put U นะครับ as a grade okay so this is what we can do for the logical tests and other arguments for the if function นะครับ so in this one my suggestion นะครับ when you have to use if function I recommend you to type if function by yourself rather than click go and then just fill up logical test value to value if false in the function argument box because it may cause you to be confused นะครับ when you type it manually it is easier apart from that one นะครับ I suggest you to use นะครับ I suggest you to use the tool นะครับ in your Microsoft Windows computer or in Mac you can use the software นะครับ similar software to the Windows as well in Windows you should use Notepad software นะครับ you can just like click this one you can click นะครับ here and then you can go to Notepad นะครับ scroll to end no, it's not here. You click here, sorry, you click on magnifying glass and type notepad นะครับ you just type here is a notepad. When you open it up, this one is the software นะครับ that you can just like type the formula easily. I don't recommend Microsoft Word นะครับ because Microsoft Word there will be the problem whenever you type the double quote symbol นะครับ double quote symbol will just like switch its appearance to be different from what Excel wants. So when you put double quote in Notepad, it shows like this นะครับ that is common double quotes นะครับ so be careful นะครับ when you have to use. But what about Mac ครับ let me show you on Mac. On Mac นะครับ I use the software นะครับ I use the software that is what we call text edit นะครับ that is what we call text edit in the application text edit here นะครับ text edit here or somebody may have text edit icon on your menu here นะครับ you can use that one นะครับ so you can see that this one okay this one is what I used before I type the formula in here นะครับ the way that we do is that we type the formula by using Notepad or the text edit first and after that นะครับ I just like highlight copy it and then I go to paste it in my Excel นะครับ this is the way that I normally do นะครับ so that you can check the correctness of your data first นะครับ okay so now let's see นะครับ for the problems นะครับ the example that we have got in here we said that if the student score is from 60 and above นะครับ somebody said can I use flowchart that you taught me before? Yes ครับ it is very easy นะครับ okay let me show you if I just like have to draw the flowchart to answer this question or to just like follow this question through what should we do นะครับ okay here okay let me share my another screen to you okay so in this one นะครับ in this one you can see that just see this problem first it said that if the student score is from 60 and above นะครับ when you want to draw as a flow chart or if you have a piece of paper นะครับ you can just like have the draft design in that piece of paper and it would be easy for us นะครับ in here I just say that I start with the flow chart is here okay start here I say that okay I input say that I input score in cell C6 let's say assume that C6 is the place where I put the score of the student นะครับ so the flow chart that I'm going to have to justify นะครับ the score is this one ครับ you can see that in the example นะครับ in the example we copy it in here I said that if the student score is from 60 and above นะครับ I have to formulate my if that if นะครับ the score is in cell C6 right is from 60 and above 60 and above is greater than or equals to 60 นะครับ this is what we get so when I get the first part นะครับ for the logical test already I have value if true and value if false นะครับ for value if true and value if false I will display นะครับ I will just display the value only okay I use this symbol ครับ this is value if true I put true in here นะครับ and then I put false in there นะครับ two different sides value if true I will display S grade yes. value if false นะครับ U grade value if false means that if C6 is less than 60 นะครับ I put U grade instead okay now let's see นะครับ when I finish this one I will stop my flowchart here so I link them with the flow นะครับ okay and then I connect it with the on page connector first and then we stop okay so this is like the basic flow chart นะครับ that we can prepare to just like solve this first easy example นะครับ we just like check whether the score นะครับ in the cell C6 is greater than or equals to 60 or not นะครับ from the given condition นะครับ from 60 and above means greater than or equals to 60 นะครับ then we display S grade otherwise we display U so นะครับ I will formulate it as the if function นะครับ so the if followed by logical test comma value if true comma value if false this is the syntax of if function right so what are we going to do ครับ in this one นะครับ I put equal sign logical test is in the diamond shape here I put if open parenthesis นะครับ logical test is C6 is greater than or equals to 60 นะครับ greater than or equals to in Excel you type greater than นะครับ and equal symbol นะครับ it means greater than or equals to ครับ then you have comma value if true นะครับ I want to display s นะครับ double quote s นะครับ so this one you have to be careful นะครับ as I told you if you use like software like Microsoft Word or Excel or sorry Microsoft Word or PowerPoint it shows double quote symbol strangely something like that นะครับ it's different from Notepad that it shows just like the straight double quote symbol นะครับ in here after that you say that okay value is false it display you นะครับ in here and then stop we close parenthesis นะครับ this is the logical test that we have got when we get this one already นะครับ when we get this one already I will just like put it in my Excel นะครับ when I put it into my Excel it is like this ครับ I said that in the cell C6 if I put the score in the cell C6 61 let's say 61 is greater than 60 right okay and then my if function is in cell C7 I put if function here I just like use the function that I just formulate from PowerPoint ครับ equals to if open parenthesis logical test I said that C6 is greater than or equals to 60 comma value if true double quote s comma double quote u นะครับ so this if function will show the value will show the text s or u นะครับ in this cell นะครับ in the cell C7 for us so it show s for us นะครับ let me just like send this function in chat box นะครับ okay in here so now we can try on other values นะครับ if the score is 60 is s if score is 59 is u นะครับ if the score is 100 นะครับ it's s something like that นะครับ this is the basic if function that we have to know when we have when we calculate a thing like this นะครับ okay let me just like show you นะครับ I'll switch back into PowerPoint once again to let you see that okay in the PowerPoint how the PowerPoint works when you say that okay you have the value นะครับ 61 in the cell C6 นะครับ in the cell C6 assume that this is cell C6 นะครับ I just check นะครับ is this value is greater than or equal to 60 or not 61 is greater than 60 right so that's why it goes to the true side and then show s on my screen นะครับ if you enter 59 นะครับ if you enter 59 in the cell C6 you can see that 59 is not greater than or equal to 60 นะครับ is not greater than or equal to 60 because 59 is less than 60 right so it goes to false side and shows u นะครับ instead and then it stop นะครับ so this one is the basic flow chart together with the if function นะครับ together with the if function that we combine them together นะครับ that we combine them together right okay then นะครับ everyone up to this point do you have any questions about the basic if function for the first example ครับ so if you don't have any question นะครับ I have a mini homework to you นะครับ please do it and on the next class please show me the formula to do this นะครับ this is easy in this function sorry in this example นะครับ in this example in this example I want you to find the attendance score นะครับ if I have the information of student like this ครับ I want you to find the attendance score between these two students for me นะครับ 3 students okay we have 3 students นะครับ James Jane and Andy James Jane and Andy I want you to find the attendance score for them so the condition in this example is that if the student name is Jane give 1 to her attendance score นะครับ otherwise give 0 to the attendance score so that means in this table นะครับ you can see that there will be just 1 person who receive the attendance score as 1 นะครับ the rest of them should be 0 so using if function นะครับ by yourself นะครับ to do it นะครับ do it at home by yourself so the answer must be like this ครับ it must be James Jane and Andy นะครับ but I want to see the formula that you use นะครับ okay all right then okay that is just like mini homework that I want you to just like practicing on using basic if function นะครับ and on the next class I'll talk about like more complicated conditions that we have to use in order to justify the value if true and value if false โอเคนะครับ everyone up to this point do you have any questions ครับ